To Infinity Genealogy. I am the genealogist, Aliyah Diani, but I go by AD. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I really love your comments, so please, let's interact. And today, my topic is just going through Ancestry. If you have not created an ancestry.com website, I really encourage you to do so because it exposes you to so many tools and allow you to put all the pieces together in your family puzzle, in your family history. And so today, I am focusing on DNA by parent. They have this Journeys. I am unsure if Journeys is available. If you have the free version, I do have a paid version. And so I love this because in my genealogy reports, I always provide maps of locations, counties, of all that information for all of my clients because I want them to get further details, get further research. If you know exactly what county your family is from, you are able to contact that county and ask for additional records. You can ask for death records, birth records, any records on a person. And so when I saw this Journeys function, when I saw this, Journeys function, I looked at it and I was like, wow. And I'm gonna do a comparison video very soon. But if you look at the region that my family is primarily from, if you look here, look at all my family, we are rooted in the southeast, southwest, not even Midwest. I don't know what to call this region. East Texas is what it calls it. But if you really look closely, a lot of our families are from these regions, and there are multiple parallels between this and also those indigenous tribes that were originally here in the southeast that then got pushed westward. So I really wanted to point this out, but we will move on because I will talk about that in more detail in a future video. And so here are my journeys. So here's all of them compared. You can see that it has just all your journeys in one. You can just focus on your maternal side. You can just focus on your paternal side, both sides. And then what's this last one? Unassigned. So as of right now, I don't have any unassigned matches on my journeys. Okay. And it says your journeys, let me go back to all. Find out where your ancestors lived in the recent past on each side of your family. Even if your parents haven't taken DNA tests, you can tell which journeys you inherited from each family and you can learn more. And when you pull this up on the side, it gives you more information. So, how do you know which parent connects me to these journeys? And so it shows you what technology they use, side view, and they also have more questions. Did you use my parents' DNA for this? How can my parents have a journey that I don't have? How did my journeys change? Which we know migration, and sometimes forced migration. Why aren't all my journeys connected to my parents? And why do, excuse me, why don't you know who parent one and parent two are? How can I figure out who parent one and parent two are? What are common journeys of my closest matches? Learn more. So they have some good frequently asked questions here. And one question that jumped out to me is why did my journeys change? And how can my parents have journeys that I don't have? I think those two are so unique and funny to me. With the first one, or technically the third question here, oh, why did my journeys change? I even look at my own migration story. I'm born in the Midwest, in Missouri. Then I moved to Georgia, and then I moved to Arizona, and then I lived in Oregon for a minute, and then I moved to Florida. I'm not even 30 years old yet. At the recording of this video, I am not 30 years old. And I have lived in 5 to 6 places. And imagine if I would have had children in each of those places, So now my children are being born in different locations than I am. So their journey is going to look different, right? Okay, so let's look at the answers to this. So, why did my journey change? Okay, for our early 2024 journeys, By parents' release, we updated your journey reference panels and algorithms. This made our results more precise overall, and that means you may have new journeys we couldn't connect you to before, but may also you may also lose journeys you had a weaker genetic connection to. So it may be a sixth or seventh great grandparent that may have lived in Oklahoma or somewhere like that. And so because it's further down the line, your sixth or seventh great grandparent, they may have been the only person who lived in that area, and so it's not a dominant location. That's what this is saying. And then how can my parents have a journey that I don't have? You inherited 50% of your DNA from one parent and 50% from the other, and that means there's half of each parent DNA you didn't inherit. Exactly. We have to keep that in mind. So when you're doing your actual DNA swab and you're trying to learn, get your ethnic breakdown, please note that your parents' results are going to look different than yours because you only get half of your DNA from them. And remember, they got half of their DNA from their parents, half of, and it just keeps going to where this is also very, very important when you think about Indigenous history. Please remember, I specialize in Indigenous history, okay? Indigenous and Aboriginal history. And I am specifically using that language intentionally, okay? Because a lot of us, we have those oral stories about this person was in our family, we have India in our family, we have India in our family, and a lot of times we think that is a lie. That is not a lie. However, you may not always pick up those DNA markers. This is why genealogy is so important, because even if you don't pick up the DNA quote unquote markers, you have the person, the person's name, where they live, their parents, like you have the paper trail, the documentation to prove your ancestry. Does that make sense? And so for an example, my mom's side, her dad's side, his mom, so what, that is my great grandmother, she was Cherokee Indian from Pennsylvania. She got disinherited because she went on to marry a darker complected person. Okay? So when my mom's DNA, she has more Indian or more indigenous ancestry than I do because I am the next generation. So it decreased. But then here comes my dad's side of the family, who are Creole, especially on his dad's side. So I'm still dealing with the men's side of my family. Also keep that in mind. I am a woman. So the DNA passes down differently between different the sexes. So does that mean I don't have indigenous ancestry just because it didn't show up as prominent on either side? No. That is why genealogy is superior. Not superior. No, they work hand in hand. But yes, that is that. We'll go more into that a little bit later, but I wanted to take a deeper dive into my story. I want to scoot this over a little bit. I hope y'all can see this clearly. I've been trying to make sure all of my images are where they need to be. Okay, so perfect. So here's all of my journeys. As you can see, I have one, two, three main headings, and then I have some subheadings that fall into those regions. Okay, so here's the overall heading of early Southern U.S. African Americans. Okay, so for me, I am more. I'm everywhere, and it's so funny that Pennsylvania is not on there because that's where my family my mother's dad's side is from Pennsylvania. So the fact Pennsylvania is not even included um is interesting because my grandfather, he was in the military. He did move around a lot. But I am basically stationed here according to this technology and according to ancestry.com. And so you have Central Southern US Americans. And when you click on it, it provides more details. So most of the African Americans in this community can trace their roots back to West Africa. Once enslaved in American colonies, they were often moved as part of forced migration westward and southward. Once there, they typically worked on farms or plantations, growing everything from cotton to hemp. After emancipation, they built and attended schools, started farms and businesses, and looked forward to participating in civic life. Faced with Jim Crow restrictions and limited economic opportunities, many left the South in the early 20th century. Dang, I can't. Woo! The early 20th century. I need to slow down. All right, I need to get some water too. Um, and so you can go into more detail, view this journey. Another page will pop up, and it just keeps going. Like, y'all, it just keeps going. I love this tool so much. And then it gives me a timeline from 1750 to 1975, right? So how many years is that? That is 220 years, 25 years? Okay, your ancestral journey over time. So here's the supposed timeline. And also, it talks about here are some different places. So this is where Virginia, Maryland, Lower Mississippi, and again, that's Central Southern is what we talked about a little bit earlier. And then you keep scrolling down. You have now both of my parents reign from this area. And then it has people in your tree. If you scroll down, I'm not gonna scroll. And then more information. So just taking some time to explore this is really good. And then go on to your next one, your next journey, East Texas and Oklahoma. Again, but look at this timeline. It shifted a little bit to where it's 200 years even, right? And it's all in this area, which is true because I know specifically on my mom's side, um, both my great grandmother and my great grandfather, they were born in Arkansas. And then for my dad's side, is Texas and Louisiana. So I think it said it comes from both sides of my family. Let's see. Okay, so the Oklahoma side passed down from my mom, which uh, I'm not surprised because they lived close to Oklahoma for a while in Coffeeville, Kansas. And then it shows people in my family. Yeah, let's see. Let's view the timeline. Okay, so they pretty much give the same stories. They show this map. Oh, keep going, keep going. Okay, so and it gives the whole timeline, y'all. So by 1775, it's all over. Which I've never heard this language, so I'm learning something new here. And you get to see people in my tree. Juneteenth, ancestors who were directly impacted. Corrupt contracts. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Corrupt contracts. While a lumber boom drew many black workers to East Texas, others grew cotton, corn, and other crops on small farms. Tenants farming became dominant, but after paying part of their crop as rent, families often had little left for themselves. A ruined crop or corrupt contracts quickly landed many families in a cycle of perpetual debt. The Colored Farmers Alliance, based in Houston, offered offered help to black families with loan advice and a newsletter. Wiley College, a school for African Americans created with support from the Methodist, the AME Church. Oh, that's not AME. Oh, goodness. Y'all, I need to stop doing these at night. The Methodist Episcopal Church offered a chance at higher education. Racist agitators tried to keep students from attending, but enrollment remains steady heading into the new century. So as you can see, they always try to do, play us in some capacity and have non-people in that. Then we go to the 1900. Heavenly Houston. So as you can see, Texas is really rooted in my journey, and on both sides. And it talks about the horror lynchings and events and the 1917 Houston riots. There was see how they flipped the language here. First, everything was African American, then they changed it to Black Americans. So keep that. I always pay attention to the language switch. Some recently, some relatively self-contained Black neighborhoods like Houston's Third Ward offered a chance to build communities. The local Chamber of Commerce encouraged rural African Americans to locate to a heavenly Houston campaign to out its safe streets, friendly churches, lively blues venues, and ample jobs. So literally in two sentences, it went from Black Americans to African Americans again. And I have about 8 people in my tree. On to LA. I didn't even see LA, which makes sense. Okay, with the Great Depression, um, average yearly earnings for Black families in Texas fell to $874 by 1933. A New Deal programs, the impact of New Deal programs was unequal. And are we surprised? Yeah, this is insane. And then let's go to 1950. Yeah, I'm trying to make these videos shorter, but it's so much information. It's hard. It's hard. And again, I just wanted to share resources for you all to, so you can continue doing your own research. But I have not really seen too many people talk about these journeys, and I really wanted to do that. Again, my goal is to educate, to inform us, to force us to think critically about everything that we have been taught about ourselves. Because if they only tell you one aspect of yourself, you're gonna believe that, and I don't believe that. We are so much more than slavery, y'all. We are so much more than what they tell us. And yes, they may not be telling us the whole truth with all of these technologies and resources, but at least they can give us parts to where we can put the pieces together. I always use the analogy of puzzle pieces because to me, that is what research is. When you're doing genealogy and family research, every little question you ask, every little detail you find, all of your findings, those are the pieces of the puzzle that you put together to create the full picture, which is you. You are the final project as far as putting the pieces together of the puzzle. So when you look on the box of it is you. And so again, every little bit of information you find, you're at a new piece. And that's why I have puzzles on my website. With me, y'all, everything is very intentional and strategic. That's how my brain works. That's how I operate because I really want people to understand you are so much more than what they tell you. And you are both of your parents, at least half of them. Right? Okay, let me come off. Let me get back on track. And then here's the second wave. Additionally, I always tell people too, when you study genealogy, you are studying American history. You are studying history because, we were, mostly in the South, a little bit Midwest, and then you got people going all the way west. Why? So this information is telling you why. It's telling you for better opportunities. There were a lot of World War II veterans who took jobs. They were in the Navy. They did either welding or janitorial work. Um, just overall better life, less racial tension. However, whenever we started to do well, there were racial tensions that spiked. And some of those white families left the suburbs. And then you go back to Texas, they enrolled in desegregated public schools. And in spite of racist agitators' efforts, the African American secured places on local school boards and city councils and become voices for equality and positive change. Hear that in spite of this, sorry, I'm getting passionate, y'all. In spite of, no matter how much stuff we have gone through, in spite of, we still press forward. So remember that strength. Again, we always focus on the pain, and don't get me wrong, because epigenetics is real. Trauma has been passed down. Our nervous systems are not regulated as they need to be. However, there's always we also have the strength to create our own communities. We have the strength and the power to create and shape our own reality in spite of everything else going on around us. I want us to continue to feel that, to embrace that, to focus on some of those things. Okay, goodness. Let's go all the way back, y'all. Let me go all the way back to my journeys. Okay, so let's go back to my journeys. And I'm going to do by parent. Okay, so here is a little bit different, which we'll talk about in another episode. So let me stick with journeys. Okay, so we have our early southern U.S. American. Again, that includes Virginia, Maryland, lower Mississippi. You have your central southern, and then you have East Texas, Oklahoma, and then you have Eastern Louisiana, Western Mississippi. How many times Mississippi didn't popped up in my? And it's so funny because in my knowledge, I have not found a direct Mississippi ancestor yet. So the fact that it keeps popping up is very interesting to me. But I'm not surprised because of the proximity to New Orleans, or excuse me, to Louisiana. Okay, so let me look more into this side. Okay, okay, who's from Mississippi that I don't know? Okay, it didn't show. So that 1750 to 1975. This is on my paternal side. Okay, makes sense because my paternal side is from Louisiana. And you also get to see some of your current matches from your tree. So I don't want to put their business out like that. But okay, so then we're gonna go to the previous East Texas. Okay, we did East Texas. We did we do early? Yes, we did. Okay, we did everything. And so yes, again, these are the journeys. You get to see as much information as possible, and it's color coordinated. So this orange color is the early southern U.S. You know, so this is all my family here. This is this is spans the whole the whole part of the map. And then you have your green, which is East Texas and Oklahoma. And then you have your purple, which is the eastern Louisiana and western Mississippi. Perfect. So let's go down to which parent passed down your journeys. And that's what I wanted to see. Yes, this is what I wanted to see. All right, so my maternal side, central southern U.S., East Texas, Oklahoma. My dad. My dad is just stuck in Mississippi. I'm surprised Texas, well, Texas is not on here like that. But yeah, these are what my dad passed down to me. And then both sides, they have that Virginia, Maryland, Mississippi area. And again, I don't have any unassigned. So there you go. Please explore the journeys. I hope that you learned something here. I hope that again you learned something. That's to me that's most important. Whether you learn something about the technology, whether there's something that I said that resonated with you, um, I just want you all to learn about who you are and create meaning for self. Self identification is so important. You get to name yourself. That is, you're reclaiming power. You know how everyone, oh, I'm reclaiming my time. Yes, we need to reclaim our time, but you need to reclaim your identity. You need to reclaim your power. You need to reclaim the understanding of self, self determination, self identification, pride, and not been at any, when you know who you are, no one can um, tell you otherwise. There's nothing anyone can say that can move you unless you're like, let me investigate that. Let me see. Just let me see. I love people who are curious and who are like, you know what? Someone said something that I'm uncertain about. Let me go do my own research. Because that little, I don't want to even say gem that they shared. That little saying or whatever they said to you, it sparked something in you for a reason. Go explore that. All right, y'all. That is it for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will talk to y'all later. Peace.